Danger! I'll be producing toxic fumes in this video. I'll be doing the reactions inside a fume hood to vent the deadly gases away. Doing these reactions in an enclosed area without proper ventilation could cause serious injury or death. Do not try this at home.
Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about dissolving gold with Aqua Regia. It's all over the internet. To make a proper quantity of Aqua Regia, you must mix 4 parts hydrochloric and 1 part nitric, or 3 parts hydrochloric and 1 part nitric. Either of these will work. These will both dissolve gold. However, if you premix the Aqua Regia to dissolve the gold, what we're doing is we're adding way more nitric acid than we need. That does 2 things bad for us. Number one, it wastes the chemicals, because when you get done dissolving the gold, that excess nitric acid has to be removed. It just goes off in a reaction and you don't get to recover or use it. Number 2, if you have excess nitric acid present in your gold chloride solution and there are platinum group metals present with the gold in the solution, the excess nitric, when you go to precipitate it, the excess nitric will tend to bring down those other metals as you precipitate. So we want to avoid that. Bottom line is, when we're pre-mixing our Aqua Regia, we're wasting chemicals and creating contamination in our pure gold. So this is not what we want to do. This is not the way to dissolve the gold. What I'm going to show and demonstrate today is a method called incremental nitric additions. And I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now. For this experiment, I've got 2 beakers. One is labeled number 1 and the other one is number 2. In it, I have some gold that was inquarted with silver and then parted with nitric acid. It's sitting in a little bit of distilled water right now. But I've got it roughly divided in half, so there should be 1.5 ounces in each one of these beakers. Over here, what I've got is 200 ml of hydrochloric acid, and in this cylinder I have 50 ml of nitric acid. What I'm going to do is mix both of those in this beaker and pre-mix the nitric. Once I get it pre-mixed, I'm going to add the pre-mixed nitric and dissolve this gold in beaker number 2 with the pre-mixed Aqua Regia. To beaker number 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about 250 ml of hydrochloric acid, and then I'm going to put both of them on the heat. Immediately this one will begin to dissolve. But in this one, what I'm going to do is use a pipette, and I've got some marks on there. The first mark down lower is 1 ml, and the upper mark here is 2 ml. What I'll do is start slowly adding doses of concentrated nitric acid to beaker number 1 to carefully control the amount of nitric going into the reaction. And we're going to see the difference between the two when we go to precipitate the pure gold. To begin the experiment, I'm going to go ahead and mix my 2 acids here to form some Aqua Regia in this 400 ml beaker. Over here I've got the gold I poured off the water. One's labeled 2 and number 1, the other one's labeled number 1. The Aqua Regia premix will be going into beaker number 2, and we'll dissolve the gold with the premixed Aqua Regia. In this one I'm going to add about 250 ml of hydrochloric only, and put it on the heat and then start adding small doses of nitric. So here we go. Hydrochloric acid into the beaker first, 200 ml. This is going to be a 4-to-1 ratio of Aqua Regia. And 200 ml hydrochloric and 50 ml of nitric. In beaker number 1, I'm going to add hydrochloric acid only to the gold. About 250 or so ml. I'll go ahead and add beaker number 1 to this hot plate. To beaker number 2 now, I'm going to go ahead and add some of the pre-mixed Aqua Regia. put about 150, 175 ml in there. And I'm going to put this on the other beaker over here, or the other heater. Over here, beaker number 2 with the pre-mixed Aqua Regia has already took off. The reaction's in full swing there, complete with the red fumes, the brown fumes there. While beaker number 1 had no reaction to start it at all. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and put some concentrated nitric acid into beaker number 1. And I'm going to measure it there. There's 1.5 ml right there. So I'm going to put that in. There's another 1.5, so that's 3 ml total. Another 1.5, that's 4.5 ml. Another ml and a half, that's 6 ml. So I've got 6 ml of nitric acid in beaker number 1. I'm going to add some concentrated sulfuric acid, about an ml or so to each beaker, just to precipitate out any lead that might be present. As I add this Aqua Regia to this beaker, you'll see the reaction take off pretty good here because it's hot. Now I'll add a little bit more concentrated nitric acid to beaker number 1 here. There's 1.5 ml, 3 ml, 4.5 ml, and 6 ml. So I got 12 ml total in this beaker. Solution in number 1 here has been on the heat for about 45 minutes. Well, they both have, but I just wanted to lift this up and just take a look at what we got to go yet to dissolve. You can see there's quite a bit of gold still undissolved on the bottom. So we'll have to add a little bit more nitric acid to get all this to go into solution. We'll go ahead and turn the heat off from beaker number 2. Got a little bit of AR left over, about 50 ml. Contrast over here in beaker number 1 with 12 ml of nitric in there is we got quite a bit of the gold that still needs to go into solution. So we'll probably end up having to put a few more ml of nitric acid in here. Now I'll add some more nitric acid to the beaker number 1 over here. There's 1.5 ml. Watch it take off. There's another 1.5 ml. There's 4.5 total. There's about 6 more ml in there now. All the gold in beaker number 1 is gone into solution now. It's been on for about an hour, and all the gold has gone into solution. Well, it went into solution about a half hour ago in beaker number 2, so it dissolved much quicker. Now we'll add some ice to the 2 beakers, and we'll go ahead and get these things cooled down and then do a filter. Filter papers, number 102 medium in both the funnels here. I'm going to go ahead and turn the vacuum on now and start filtering each one separately. I'll take the filters out now, and we'll transfer these flasks over to the beakers so we can go ahead and precipitate the gold. liquids to the respective beakers. Number 1 over here. I've added a piece of ice to each one. I put 2 in this one and 1 in this one to keep it cool during the precipitation reaction. I'm going to go ahead and add some stump out to both of them right now and see how they react. We'll put the stump out in. First beaker number 2 and beaker number 1. Beaker number 1, beaker number 2. Beaker number 2 and beaker number 1. Give them a quick swirl here to get it the gold, get everything mixed up in there. It's been about 30 seconds since I added the SMB. This one over here is quiet, calm, cool, and collect. This one here with the excess nitric in it, with the pre-mixed Aqua Regia, is starting to light off on me. It's starting to react. You see some fumes in there. This one has no fumes in it at all. It's nice and, well, it's warm, but this one's getting hot. The reason this one's getting hot is because there's excess nitric in this solution still. And what's happening is I put the sodium metabisulfite in to precipitate the gold, and as soon as it precipitated, since there's excess nitric in here, it started redissolving the gold almost immediately. So it's going to take quite a bit more SMB to get all that gold to come down. I'm going to have to add a little bit more to this one as well because it's not completely, you can tell by the color there's still some gold in solution in this one. I'm going to go ahead and add some more stump out to each one. See how this works out. There's a spoonful there. Whoa. And then we're going to add a spoonful to this one over here. Nowhere near as violent a reaction as this jar. This is really starting to heat up now. You can see there's brown fumes in there. This atmosphere in here is clear. It's because there's no excess nitric in this jar number 1. It's only got 18 ml of nitric. This one's probably got close to 40 in it. Okay, I want to add some more stump out here to both of them. I'm only going to put a half a spoon because you've seen how high that went up when I put a whole spoon in, so I'm going to put a half spoon in there. Look at all them fumes. That means there's gobs of nitric acid left in there yet. This one is nice and calm. I can add a little bit more SMB over here. I got to keep adding the SMB to this one until all that excess nitric is gone. Then the gold will stay in solution. But until all that nitric acid in here has been used up, it's going to keep redissolving the gold just as fast as I add the precipitant. Just as fast as I add this SMB, it's going to keep redissolving the gold. Go ahead and add a little bit more SMB to each one. Watch what happens. There's a whole bunch of extra nitric in this one. I'm only putting a half a spoon in. It really flares up there. It'll keep doing that until all the excess nitric has been consumed in here by putting in the SMB. Over on this side, we got nothing. We're done. This one's been precipitated. All the gold is down in this one because we added the nitric incrementally into this side and used just enough to just dissolve all the gold. So there's no excess nitric in here. This is the big advantage. I can go ahead and precipitate this without having to denox it, Whereas you can plainly see this side over here is not going in, or it's not coming out of solution very well. I'm going to add some ice to beaker number 2 here to try to get it to cool down. I'll keep adding SMB until all the gold precipitates. This one's done. This is all out of solution now. This one here has got a ways to go before it stays precipitated. Adding that ice will help cool it down and help calm the reaction down when I add the SMB. Okay, I'm going to try adding some more SMB. I'll put some ice cubes in there to keep it cool. I'm going to try to get this thing to give up the gold for us. I'm going to add a little bit more here. Every time that wells up like that, tiny droplets of gold-bearing solution are leaving the beaker. That's why I put the lid back on. Got to keep adding the SMB until all the nitric is used up. Then it'll stay precipitated. Add some more stump out here. Keep going until I can get it to stay in solution, or come out of solution and stay precipitated. You don't want to add this stuff too fast because that stuff will come up over and boil over the beaker. And if you ain't got it in a catch container, you could lose your metal. Be a very expensive mistake. This is a perfect illustration why it's an advantage to use the incremental nitric additions. It looks like it's going to be beneficial at first to use the Aqua Regia pre-mixed, but then when you go to precipitate the gold out, you got to add a ton of chemicals to get all that excess nitric acid to get out of there. Or of course you could have we could have denoxed this with an evaporation down to a syrup and then driven the excess nitric off with hydrochloric acid additions. Or we could use sulfuric acid, but either way, you're losing nitric acid because you're driving it off and you're using extra chemicals. In this case, you don't have to do that. It's already down. We're good to go over here with the incremental dosing. This is the big advantage of incremental dosing. I added a few more ice cubes to beaker number 2 here. We'll go ahead and put some more SMB in here and try to get it to stay precipitated and see what happens. Whoa. Go. You just got to keep adding chemicals. You're wasting nitric and you're wasting SMB here. Only took 18 ml to dissolve all this gold, which was an equivalent amount that was in here. This dissolved faster with the pre-mixed Aqua Regia, but as you can see, we're having trouble keeping that gold to stay precipitated at this phase of the game here. Go ahead and add a little bit of sulfuric acid here. See if I can kill some of that nitric. You got to be real careful here because this stuff will really flare up. It's crystals, sulfuric acid. more and just let it work on that excess nitric in there. Can't add it too quickly or you'll boil it over. We'll go ahead and try to dissolve or add a little bit of sulfamic here, kill a little bit more nitric. See what kind of reaction we get. It's still pretty vigorous.
Notice the lack of fumes in there. We're getting pretty close to expelling all the nitric now.
Starting to calm down a little bit now. There it's settling down a little bit. That's not too bad there. Okay, I'm going to try some more stump out now. See if we can get this gold to stay precipitated. About a half a spoon here. That's doing a lot better now. Finally got all the nitric out of there. Looking pretty good now. Well, I finally got all the nitric out of number 2 here, where we used pre-mixed Aqua Regia to dissolve half of the gold. I've been messing with it now for probably a good 45 minutes or so, and that just goes to show you the benefits of using an incremental dosing of nitric. This stuff went right on into solution with no problems about an hour ago, 45 minutes ago, and this one here I'm just getting it to stay in solution. Might need to add a little bit more here in a few minutes, we'll see, but this is the main benefit of incremental dosing of your nitric. I only used 18 ml here. Over here I used 40 ml. I've still got about maybe 8 or 10 ml left here that I didn't use. So this will have to be either put into the waste stream or used somewhere else. We allowed this to settle now for about an hour. I'm going to go ahead and pour this solution, the waste solutions, off into my stock pot, and then we'll gather that gold up and redissolve it a second time.
With my mask on, I go ahead and dump the waste solution into my stock pot. If a little bit of gold goes in there, it's okay. We're going to recover it when I refine the stock pot. I add the waste solutions from both beakers to my stock pot. I combine the contents of both beakers into a single filter paper. Next, I rinse the gold while it's still in the filter with some hydrochloric acid.
Now, using the same beaker from the previous reaction, I'm going to take the funnel here and I'm going to put the folder, the filter, and the gold right down into the beaker here. Now we'll cover the gold with about 300 ml of hydrochloric acid. So here's another benefit of dissolving the gold using incremental additions. You can see right there I used 18 ml to dissolve half of this gold in the first reaction. So now it's going to be a pretty safe bet that if I double this, because I had the portions of gold split pretty much evenly, if I double this and go to 36 ml I'll be able to dissolve all this gold with just 36 ml of concentrated nitric acid. Turn it up to low, just over low, and I'm going to start making nitric acid additions. First thing I'll do is I've got 50 ml of the 4-to-1 Aqua Regia left here, just under 50 ml. So there's probably going to be about 8 or so ml of concentrated nitric acid in this leftover acid. So I'm going to add that to the redissolve right now so I can use it. So it's 8 ml of concentrated nitric acid going into the beaker right now. Before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and add some concentrated sulfuric acid, about an ml or so, just to, as a precaution, just in case any lead has made it this far into the process. It's highly unlikely, but it doesn't hurt a thing, so I just go ahead and add 1 ml of concentrated sulfuric acid. Okay, in the first reaction, I dissolved half the gold that's in that beaker using just 18 ml of nitric acid. So if I double the amount, I should be able to dissolve every bit of it in there with just 36 ml of nitric acid. The leftover pre-mixed Aqua Regia had about 8 ml of concentrated nitric acid in it. So I'll take that away from the 36 here. And that leaves me with 28 ml, 28 more ml to add in order to be able to dissolve all the gold in that beaker. Here I've got a bigger pipette. It's got 1 ml, 2 ml, and 3 ml. I'm going to go ahead and start adding concentrated nitric acid now until I get 28 ml into the reaction there. There's 3. There's 6. There's 9. There's 12. And that's just 15. So I got 15 ml of concentrated nitric acid in there now. So I've added 15 more ml. Which equals, I got 13 more to go. I should be able to dissolve everything in that beaker with 13 more ml of nitric acid.
At this point, I've added 13 ml more nitric acid for a total of 38.
It's been about an hour and 20 minutes since the last nitric addition. I'm just going to pick the jar up here, and as you can see, we got a little bit of gold left to go to dissolve, not much. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and add just a touch more nitric and turn the heat up to about medium. A little extra heat. See the reaction take off instantly. Alright, it's been about a half hour, 45 minutes since that last addition, 1 ml of nitric acid. And we look up under here and we see we still got just a little bit of gold left to dissolve. So I'm going to add just a little bit more. See if we can get it all to go in the solution. Incremental dosing takes longer to dissolve the gold, but there's a big payoff in the end when we go to precipitate. It's been on the heat now for a right good while. I had to add another half an ml or so to get everything to go, and I think I still got a little piece down there about the size of a grain of rice. But I'm going to call it. I'm going to turn the heat off, pull this off, cool it down, and do a filtration. what's in the filter. There's a few tiny pieces there that just wouldn't go into solution. I'm not going to chase after them. It's guaranteed that that's clean of nitric acid. I'm going to go ahead and put it in my filter storage down here. This is all the filters I've ever done since I started refining. I'm just going to pick this out of here and add it to the filters. I'm adding a few ice cubes because I got over 2 troy ounces. I got about almost 3 troy ounces in there, so it's going to generate some heat because precipitation with SMB is an exothermic reaction. So I'm going to add some ice cubes. I'm going to precipitate the pure gold with stump out, which is sodium metabisulfite, or we refer to it as SMB. Just like to point out also, if I dissolve this gold with the pre-mixed Aqua Regia, there was no way in the world that I'd go to try to precipitate in a beaker this full, because I guarantee to overflow it. But since I know that I don't have any excess nitric in here because of the incremental nitric acid additions, I feel safe in precipitating the gold in a beaker that is this full. Here we go. Like butter. Looking for that white head of foam up here that tells me that everything has gone into solution, or everything has been precipitated. Notice that my ice cubes are going away. That's because we're making a little bit of heat with this reaction. It is an exothermic reaction. And I think we're starting to get there. There's our white foam. That means everything's out of solution and precipitated. That's what we're looking for right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. I've got a little bit of gold adhering to the stirring rod. What I'll do is I'll just go ahead and put it in my stock pot, and then later on take it out, and it'll be clean as a whistle.
The pure gold powder has been settling now for about half an hour, and I'm going to go ahead and pour the waste off into my stock pot. It's okay if a little bit of that gold goes into the stock pot. I'll be recovering it out of there sometime soon anyway. I get the pure gold powder into a filter so I can give it a quick rinse with hydrochloric acid.
Now I'm going to go ahead and put the filter with the gold in it and transfer it into this melt dish here. Sopping wet with SMB. That's okay. our finished product. 2.8 troy-ounce pure gold bar. Well, that'll conclude my video about incremental nitric acid additions versus pre-mixing Aqua Regia. I hope you learned something. This is one of the most valuable refining tips that I ever learned. Was to quit pre-mixing the Aqua Regia. Just use hydrochloric and then slowly add just enough nitric to dissolve that gold, and you eliminate all those problems that you encounter when you go to try to precipitate the pure gold. That'll be it for tonight. Like always, I check my comments section. If you got any questions or just comments or whatever, go ahead and leave them. I try to check them every day, and I'll do that throughout this whole period. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and good night.